have a distinct pleasure of introducing the Braver Angels today. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit how I encountered them. Um, as you all know, I've been working in the interfaith community for 35 years, trying to figure out how to cross that great divide between people of faith when they say never discuss religion or politics. So here we are trying to figure out how to have people sit together with varying opinions and meet someone who represents the mirror opposite of what they believe, and yet leave that room as two people who enjoyed each other's company and probably will see each other again and be willing to talk further. Now that today in our world is an enormous challenge. And I was so excited about Braver Angels when I found them, is that I started using they have a 5-minute promo. I don't know whether Susan will be showing today, but they have a promo that I started putting within my own videos about dialoguing for peace before I met anybody from the organization, because I was so impressed. And then a couple of years ago, I think that's where I met Susan in El Segundo. It was after an election. They had a meeting at a local hotel and bar, and we didn't know who voted for whom, but we were exploring each other and seeing about the possibility of talking more. And so since then, I've been a contributor to the organization and following them. They had an amazing conference in Gettysburg recently this summer, which I couldn't attend, but I think that this group in particular will appreciate how an organization has created guidelines that are practical and that are doable, that in every community people can see that we don't have to remain at opposite ends or not in no man's land. So I'm really looking forward to this presentation. And
thank you, Ruth. Let's have them give the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And I'm going to share my screen now. So give me a moment. And we'll go with that. Oh, wait, you know what? I just realized I forgot to do something important. I need to share audio as well. So let me do that properly. Share sound. Okay. Oh, no, that's not it. I'm so sorry. Technical difficulties this morning. Oh, let's see, cancel. Sorry.
We're seeing your full screen, right?
I know. I'm not good at this, so there it is. I think I've got it this time.
Nice.
Nope.
We hear your voice.
I don't know what's happening here. I'm hitting share screen and I'm hitting
that worked, Susan.
But we see
it did.
We see it.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Good. So sorry about that. And thank you for being patient with me.
Well, not right now. We don't see it now, but we did.
Oh, okay. Share screen. Do this. Are you back?
Crossing the Continental Divide.
Ah, perfect. Okay. So sorry about that. And thank you for your patience. And thank you, Ruth, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, Ruth, for introducing us to your group here. You're such beautiful people. And I'm inspired by you all this morning and happy to be here with Bob. Bob and I are so grateful to be here with you. And we're going to bring you an overview of Braver Angels, including a few brief exercises that are a sample of what you might find in a Braver Angels workshop. So as you know, my name is Susan Rico, and I've been volunteering with Braver Angels since 2019, mostly as an event organizer. And I'm also a retired engineer, having worked about 35 years in the aerospace industry. And so, Bob, will you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you, Susan. I've been involved with Braver Angels since around 2020, but more so in the last 18 months. I've had stints in aerospace, financial services, corporate treasury, and as a high school math teacher for inner city schools. And I always like to include my better half. My wife is a pastor for a Lutheran church in Van Nuys, so we're very involved there. Back to you, Susan.
Oh, thanks. And again, I just want to thank Ruth and also I just want to share my hope that all of you will find something meaningful in what we present today that can find a place in your hearts and minds and have a positive influence on your interactions with other people. And I also want to apologize. I'm getting over COVID. So if I cough or clear my throat, I apologize in advance. And Bob, you can take it from here.
All right, we can go to the next slide. There we go. So we're going to start with an easy introductory exercise, sort of a warm-up. In a few minutes, we'll put you into breakout rooms in groups of roughly 3, not just yet, I'll let you know. And you'll be with this same group, if it works out that way, hopefully a couple of times today as we go through the exercises. Now, your task is to identify one, hopefully more, things that you have in common about a particular topic. And our topic for today is international travel. So it can be a location that you have visited or would like to, the subject of a fond memory, some good or bad food, all related to international travel, a humorous story, yours or one that you have heard. Okay, the idea is to find commonalities. Try to push yourself in your group a bit to see how that works. You'll have 3 minutes total if we can make a workout like that. And make sure each of you gets to talk. I think this group is pretty good at sharing and yielding the floor to the next person in line, so I don't think that'll be a problem. So if we could go ahead and start the breakout rooms. Remember, the topic is international travel. You're trying to find things that you have in common, location, memory, food, story, etc. So as soon as we can get those people into those breakout rooms, you can start your discussion.
Do we need to click on join, maybe?
If it asks you to join a breakout room, yes, click join.
Okay, because I'm just seeing a list of all of us with the join, so I would say everybody should just click on join. I don't know if that's right, but
I'm not seeing where you're saying join.
I'm not either.
You have the option. It automatically will assign you, but if it does not, then you have the option to join yourself.
But it's not doing that. It only.
We're not seeing it.
Once she commissions it.
I was alone in my room. There was nobody with me, so.
I don't have a breakout room.
Maybe we have to stop viewing Susan's screen.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop share.
I'm not there. So. Oh gosh.
Dana, do you have an update for us of what's happening?
All I see is that I've opened up all the breakout rooms.
Let me try clicking on join and see if that works.
You should have something in a panel somewhere that says join the breakout room.
No, don't.
Are you a host?
I had one and I click on it and I was waiting there alone.
I have an idea. Why don't we just stay in the main group with everybody and skip the breakout rooms and we can work around it.
And maybe if
Sure,
Dana
work.
can experiment a little bit more, because for the second exercise, it would definitely be better if we're in breakout rooms, but.
It would, yeah.
And we can write in the chat things and find similarity.
In the whole group, that's fine.
Okay, and it could be recorded too, because in the breakout rooms it wouldn't be, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of people who are not. Oh, here they're coming back. Okay.
So I'll say something about international travel. Maybe if it's okay, I'll start.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and have people, maybe 3 people volunteer to say something about international travel, and then next we will ask maybe 3 other people to respond to one of those 3 with a question So to try to find out more information and to try to explore whether there's a commonality there. Let's do it that way if we can. Go ahead, Whitney.
Well, I've been to Puerto
breakout
Vallarta.
rooms. Now breakout rooms are available, at least on my.
Let's do.
Let's go ahead like this.
And then for the next section.
Go ahead, Whitney.
Well, because it was Melanie that talked about Puerto Vallarta and the great big resort places. I've been there. I did all my dental work there, and I remember how magnificent those properties and the family feeling you have. So that's the commonality.
Okay, that's nice. That's good. Let's keep it relatively succinct so that we can get through and get to the questions and find commonalities. Thomas.
So yeah, Mexico also for me. And I was in Cuernavaca and Tasco, and it was one of the most loving experiences of my young life. I felt the generosity of the people there.
Very good. Linda.
Linda.
I was traveling. I was in an airport. It's somewhere far away. I don't know where it was. We were really crammed, and this woman kept pushing me, and I thought, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. And after we got our bags, we started to talk, and I realized, man, she was just being really nice. She was also a social worker, and we talked about our work. And it was like, I had to get out of my way in order to make room for her.
Thank you, Linda. One more, Lisa.
So I went to Japan, and one of the things that I absolutely appreciated was, even though I didn't speak Japanese, there was this ability to communicate with people that do share a common language, even though we're not speaking the same thing.
Thank you very much. Now, if I could have some hands, somebody who can ask a question of one of our speakers. So something that you want to find out more about, something behind what they said. Who can come up with a question to ask? Ruth.
Hi. So who was the last speaker? Lisa.
Lisa.
So Lisa, did you find that you made any faux pas when you were in Japan because you weren't aware of their cultural norms?
Actually, I became acutely sensitive to their customs. For example, when you greet somebody, you don't shake their hands, you bow. So just through watching people and how they behave, the native people, because I went to Japan with a girlfriend who was Japanese, just watching their behavior with each other was a wonderful cue for me and how I needed to conduct myself in more of a social situation.
That's great.
Okay,
Can I say something in return?
Yes, let's keep it brief. Thank you.
Yeah, I was told that in Japan, if someone gives you a business card, don't write anything on it. Like sometimes we take notes of where we met someone or something how we want to remember them. That's considered disrespectful. So that was,
yeah,
something interesting.
All right, good information there for any of us going to Japan. I have my own experience there. Another question for one of the speakers. Amy.
Yes, for Whitney. So Whitney, how did you find the whole dental process down there?
It was amazing. I had 7 implants, so I went many times with different friends and my husband, and I stayed all over town, and I got 7 good implants.
Okay, another question. One more question.
Martha has her hand up.
All right, Martha.
For Thomas, I wanted to ask, have you been to various Latin countries, and have you found people different in the various countries, from Costa Rica, Mexico, or anywhere else you've been?
The only other place I can think of right offhand is Costa Rica. And yes, I did. I found a similar comfort, and I associate it with Latin culture. correctly or incorrectly.
All right, thank you for those questions. Now, can I ask two people to come up with a commonality that they found, either among the speakers or a commonality that you have with one of them based on what we've heard? Mim.
I noticed an enthusiasm among all of them that spoke.
All right, thank you. Sarah.
All of them mentioned, or most of them mentioned the people. They didn't mention the sites or things like that, but it was the people that they remember.
Interesting. Thank you very much. So that's partly what Braver Angels is about, finding common ground, and not so much in this group, but particularly with someone with different viewpoints, and doing it in a cooperative way without starting out negative, which tends to happen when we talk about politics or even sometimes religion, or ending up yelling at each other, which we see on the TV if we actually turn on the TV. I try to do less of that these days. So let's go to the next slide. And I think we will try the breakout rooms again when we get to it. But we want to dig a little deeper and look inward. Look inside ourselves for this one. So, how many are uncomfortable in any way, we sort of alluded to this, with having political discussions, especially with those that have a different viewpoint? Anybody? In any way have had difficulty or been uncomfortable in having political conversations with others, especially someone who's not necessarily a friend? Because that's not unusual, and many of us will actually avoid those discussions. I know I've avoided those discussions at times. I tend to go after those discussions now. I tend to look for them much more than I used to, thanks to Braver Angels. So today we're going to give you just a taste or a teaser of a Braver Angels activity. This is not meant to be a workshop. It's just to give you a feeling for sort of how things go and some of the contemplation that we use to then move into building skills that can help us in difficult conversations. So Braver Angels workshops provide tools and help participants build skills. And workshops is just one of our offerings, and you'll hear more about that from Susan later. So hopefully today you'll get an idea why you might want to try one of our workshops. For this activity, we've taken a page from our Depolarizing Within workshop. It's one of our most popular ones, which helps people become aware of their own inner polarizer. They also become better at helping others of the same political beliefs have constructive social conversations. It's not something you would immediately think of, but it's very important. So we'd like you to take a look at one of the handouts that Mary Grace emailed to you last week called, and it's on the slide there, Recognizing My Inner Polarizer. We're also going to try to, and I think we've already done it, put a link into the chat in case you don't have that handout handy. You can click on that link and call up that sheet, which is entitled Recognizing My Inner Polarizer, and it should have questions on it. So it looks something like this, if you can see that, and has a list of questions. There's actually 6 questions on it. So raise your hand if you don't have access to that, either having printed it out ahead of time or clicked on it in the chat link. Everyone good?
It doesn't open.
Doesn't open.
Mine opened fine.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah.
So did mine.
Okay, 2 out of 3.
It works fine if you download it from
I just clicked on the link and it worked.
Okay. So with the questions on the handout, you were asked to do some personal reflections. And this might make you feel uncomfortable as you're reading through and trying to answer them. You don't have to answer all or any of them, quite honestly, and you will not be asked to share your answers in this little exercise. Please know that most of us do think or feel at least some of these things. And the answers will give you a baseline to work from on your journey of depolarization. It would be nice if we could all say, oh, we're not polarized at all, but let's be honest. Yes, I am still polarized to some extent, even though I've been doing this work for a while. So now take just a minute or two. Okay, that's good. Putting the questions themselves in the chat as well. Please take just a minute or two to reflect on your own and answer the questions 1 to 5, either as often, sometimes, or never. So it's asking you about how often, either often, sometimes, or never. And then when you get to number 6, thoughtfully pick one of those choices. Okay, after we give you that minute or two, then we will try to put you into the breakout rooms. And before we actually put you in the breakout rooms, I'll give you some instructions as to what to talk about there. So go ahead and answer those questions. Okay, just about 30 more seconds.
And thank you, Thomas, for posting those things.
And if the breakout rooms don't work, we'll just go with a big group. That's fine. Yeah, number 6 takes a moment to contemplate. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that later. Okay, so do we think the breakout rooms might work?
I mean, that's up to Dana. I would think it might be best to use the whole group rather than spend your time trying to figure it out.
Okay, let's just stay in the whole group. That's
It looks
good.
to me like the rooms are all open.
All right, let's give it a quick try because this is something that
everybody has to go in and log into their room and just say join it.
Okay, let's see. I'm not on the list. So that's okay.
I'm not seeing it at all.
I don't see any.
Okay, let's skip that. Let's stay in the full group.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we want to do is discuss our reaction to doing this exercise. Think about what was your reaction to doing the exercise. Don't focus on answers or your ratings. So the questions are, what did you think of the activity? How did it feel? And the second one is, was it helpful in any way to go through the exercise? What could be a benefit in doing this sort of exercise? So let's take a few hands from the group.
So, Bob, I wonder if it'd be better to get rid of the screen so we can see everybody.
Oh,
yeah, we can stop the screen share and just everybody go to gallery mode. So what did you think of the activity? How did it feel? And then secondly, was it helpful in any way? What could be a benefit in doing this sort of exercise? Let's take 3 or 4 quick hands. Thomas.
Yeah, I immediately felt grateful and excited because I see the possibilities of cooperation, and it had me be curious and eager to learn more and to do it with my nemesis.
Thank you for sharing that. Next, Eugenia.
Thank you. What I felt during the exercise is I wanted to make myself better. I didn't want to be honest. So it was hard to be honest, to be truthful. That's what I felt. And what did I learn from that? Yeah, work on it.
All right, thank you. Next, Rena.
I appreciate the sense of safety in addressing those topics and bringing them into the light in collaborative, connected way. So I'm excited.
Okay, one more. Linda.
It's every question made me think about, wow, I really have some ideas about people. And when the last one came up, I didn't want to go to any of them except the last one. And I'm thinking, man, I don't even think they make necessary contributions. So I really have some polarization inside me.
Love the honesty in that answer. Thank you very much. So let's go back to the screen share if you can, Susan, and we'll look at the next slide. And we're going to talk just for a minute quickly about what is the meaning of polarization. It's when people or things are at opposite ends of each other. Think about a bar magnet if you're a physics person or whatever. Braver Angels is focused on what we call the crisis of polarization. That's when our disagreements become toxic. When we not only disagree, but we begin to demonize those who believe differently than ourselves. That degrades trust and harms personal relationships. On the last question you considered in the exercise, question number 6, you saw some negative words indicating emotions towards people on the other side, like hate, disdain, pity. Those are the ones that give a sense of toxic polarization. This is important. At Braver Angels, we are not looking for people to change their minds on topics. And we believe debates are healthy in a democracy. But we want to be able to discuss the issues calmly and purposefully. That is the way to eventually make progress on the issues. Back to Susan.
Okay. So I'm going to take a moment to tell you about how this movement got started. Braver Angels began as an experiment to see if it was possible to bring people together from both sides of our political divide. So in December of 2016, right after that very contentious presidential election, the first Braver Angels workshop, which is pictured here, these are the participants, was held in South Lebanon, Ohio, bringing together equal numbers, and that's important to have equal numbers of Trump and Clinton supporters. Originally known as Better Angels, which is a line taken from Abraham Lincoln's first inaugural address, where he appealed to the better angels of our nature. Eventually, we changed our name to Braver Angels to reflect the brave nature of those who seek to unite with those from a different side. And now we're about to watch a 4-minute video that features a recent workshop called a Red Blue workshop. Now, as you watch this video, I want you to take a notice of what the participants have to say before and after the workshop, and also pay close attention to the featuring of one of our founders of Braver Angels and what he does for a living. Okay, so now I hope this works. Fingers crossed. I'm going to show the video.
So, what's the answer? How about putting old and young, rich and poor, conservatives and liberals in the same room and just have them talk it out? Which is to say, try something, anything. Here's Martha Teichner.
Angry Trump supporters demanded entry to a ballot processing center in Detroit today.
Michigan is a battleground state in every sense of the word. Here, purple doesn't mean moderate. It means the 50-50 red-blue split is a chasm.
I'm out of concern for our country and our democracy.
That concern is why these people gathered on a recent Saturday in Traverse City, Michigan. Half of them red, the other half blue. Brought together by Braver Angels, a not-for-profit attempting to narrow the divide.
And I'm here just to help people understand the point of view of those in the red column.
I'm concerned that the polarization has become paralysis.
Started in 2016, Braver Angels now hold sessions nationwide.
I'm going to start out with some expectations to abandon.
It was shaped by Bill Doherty, who teaches relationships at the University of Minnesota. He's also a marriage counselor. Is it a proper analogy of reds and blues in America and couples on the brink of divorce?
There is an analogy to couples on the brink. A big difference is that divorce is not possible in America.
In Traverse City, participants arrived uneasy at first, defensive.
It was difficult to get in the car and drive there, but I knew I had to do it.
To get over her fear of the other side. After what happened in January 2021, when Kelly McIntosh addressed a virtual county commission meeting, asking commissioners to denounce the Proud Boys after the violence of January 6th. This was the response. Then came the threatening phone calls.
Anybody who knows me knows that I need to be here.
Task number 1 at a red-blue workshop.
We're all Marxists or communists, anti-Second Amendment, baby killers.
It sounds counterintuitive. List what they call you. The stereotypes. Reds and blues in separate rooms.
Horribles. Misogynists and the conspiracy theorists.
Facilitators then ask each side if there's a kernel of truth in those stereotypes.
Passion for pro-life cause sometimes seems to not hear women.
And so it goes for 3 hours, peeling back the onion of opinion, looking for common ground, no trying to change anybody's mind.
Part of it was kind of gut-wrenching to sit in those stereotypes and then to hear what the other side, how they felt like we saw them.
Divided they were, but these people showed up because they wanted to know each other, not by label, but by name. Brent Swenson and Kelly McIntosh.
She's a neat lady. I like her.
Did you think you would click with someone of the blue persuasion so readily?
I would say that I went into it hopeful with that, but I didn't expect to find a friend.
I was shocked at the comfort, the camaraderie, because some of the things that we talked about were not real comfortable political things to talk about.
Here's the but. While Braver Angels has held more than 2,000 workshops and is growing, so is the divide.
So there's a big gap right here.
As for closing it, the brave proposition here is that at least trying is something.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. Now, I wonder if anybody would like to comment on what they just saw. If you want to raise your hand, we'll do a very quick share here. Did you notice anything, differences before and after? Or just think about what you just saw. Yeah, Whitney, if you'd unmute, please. Whitney, you're muted. Can you unmute? So we can hear your lovely voice.
Yes, it brought tears to my eyes. It was very powerful and very good work, very good work. And it was delightful to hear that woman, the white-haired woman, short-haired, full of fear, not resolve it, but, you know, get on the other side of it and see a human being and a friendly potential person for her, and that was very touching.
Wonderful. I'm glad it moved you. I'll take two more. Afton, what do you have a comment about?
It's somewhat similar. I was very moved by how brave they were to even sign up and go there. I tried to imagine, would I even be able to do that? It's incredibly brave.
It is, and thank you for that. Carolyn, you'll be our last one. Thank you.
Okay. I found that everyone there had a combination kind of equally of fear and of a loving desire to connect and to love.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. That's beautifully stated. And also notice that one of the founders who spoke, Bill Doherty, is a marriage counselor. So that can give you some idea of the kind of work we're doing is based on those techniques. So it's a very unique approach and very effective. Okay, so now I'm going to go on here to my next slide. So now I'm going to call attention to the second handout that you should have received, and I'll also put it in the chat. I apologize. It's called Braver Angels Rules for Engagement, and let me put that link in the chat real quick here. So hopefully you can find it. Okay, so there's the link in the chat. And I want you to take just a few moments to look at it and pay attention to the Braver Angels Pledge, the 3 bullets. I'll just read them out to you for those who don't have it in front of you. As individuals, we try to understand the other side's point of view. And matter of fact, I'm going to go to this slide, and there it is. As individuals, we try to understand the other side's point of view, even if we don't agree with it. In our communities, we engage with those we disagree with, looking for common ground and ways to work together. In politics, we support principles that bring us together rather than divide us. And on the second page, you'll turn it over or look at the second page and notice that there's a list of workshops that we offer. So those are all the different types of workshops and events that you can sign up for. Some are online, some are in person. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later. And I'm going to go here next. Oops. I just want to emphasize something about these skills, that they are not easy to implement. So we encourage you to find an opportunity within our organization to learn more and practice these skills. So we encourage you to sign up for one of our workshops when you have a chance. Okay, now, Bob, I'll send it back to you.
The results, and you can go ahead and click on that again. We reduce polarization. We found that our workshops and our other events do help people on both sides of the red-blue divide decrease stereotyped thinking about people on the other side. We then see others as individual people, not just ill-minded roadblocks. Generally, 70 to 80% of participants report better understanding and a change in perspectives. Next slide. Specifically, our red-blue workshops, which was just highlighted in the video, have been a success in reducing toxic polarization. And you can click through those bullets. They result in more understanding, less anger, finding commonalities. Next slide, please. Participants consistently change their views of each other, not of the issues, but of each other. Again, they help people let go of stereotypes. This includes moving away from fear and disdain and toward respect for each other, regardless of political views. Next slide. With better relationships are important. We can move toward working together and finding more collaborative solutions to our communities, our countries, and our world's problems. Turning down the rancor leads to deeper, more exploratory conversations, adding information, perspective, and hopefully solutions. And of course, constructive conversations can lead to better acceptance and buy-in on both sides, which is crucial for successful implementations. So, and the next slide is a partial sum up here. Braver Angels uses this diagram, which illustrates the last question on that inner polarizer activity, question number 6 that we did. The middle ring shows the varying emotions, starting with fear and disdain, pity, going over towards respect, admiration. The inner portion, so the words in the middle there, show some typical statements about how we think about people on the other side of an issue, and the outer portion shows some associated phrases we might use that are aligned with our emotions and thinking. I think you've already figured it out that our goal is to move from the bottom left, wherever we are on this semicircle, on this spectrum, from the bottom left up and over toward the right. This takes work. It was mentioned, it's not easy. And it may not always be smooth. There may be some backsliding, if you've heard that phrase before. And it is done over time. It's an ongoing process. But together we can make a difference in our societies. Susan?
Okay. Oops. Give me a moment here. I'm regrouping because I was going out to get that.
Okay, we're seeing it.
Yep. The link, the proper link. Hopefully you got the proper link there. And I'm trying to get back to.
So we're seeing join our efforts shared.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to get back to my notes here. I'm struggling a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm not technically very good. Oops. Shoot.
We all learn as we go and get better and better, hopefully.
Thank you for your patience. We're doing our best this morning, and I'm going to start the share again. And hopefully we're back.
Got it.
Okay. So thank you for your patience again. And we hope to have sparked a desire for you to join our movement. And you can do that in several ways shown here by becoming a member. And you can see the website link on the bottom, www.braverangels.org. You can get involved by signing up for our events and experiencing the Braver Angels way for yourself. And that is what I like to say, it's find an event and sign up and show up. That's all you need to do. And there's lots more to find at our website. And there are other ways to get involved, and these are just a few. We have a movement called Braver Campuses, where we offer college debates and discourse alliances. We have Braver Network with diverse organizations like yours can get together and work to bridge the partisan divide. We also have Braver Politics, and I'm going to just say very briefly a little bit about that. We have shown here are some politicians who have been involved with our Braver Angels efforts. On the top, you'll notice Dean Phillips. He's since I made this chart, he's thrown his hat in the ring to run for president. He's a Democrat, and he's standing next to U.S. Representative Dusty Johnson. It's a Democrat and a Republican working together. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through the rest of this, but it's been just a very effective tool that we've been bringing to governments around, local governments around the country, and even to Congress, running workshops at the U.S. Congress. So again, there's so many ways you can get involved. There's e-courses, workshops, debates, one-on-one conversations, which are so interesting. They bring you together with someone who's different from you, like red versus blue, rural, urban, or across race, age, all different kinds of things. That's a wonderful opportunity. We also would like you to check out our newest podcast by Monica Guzman. She's a Seattle-based journalist and senior fellow for public practice at Braver Angels. And you can find her podcast, A Braver Way, wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm going to take a moment here. I think I'm just gonna play one last video and I think we'll end it there. So here we go. And I'll try to turn up my volume a little bit this time.
Politics has always been a passionate subject, and we've always had deep political disagreements. That's the way it's supposed to be. But we've gotten to the point where people can't even talk to one another. Americans no longer see their political opponents as simply wrong or misguided. They see them as bad people whose ways of thinking are dangerous and incomprehensible. They see them as enemies. This level of rancor and mistrust threatens our democracy, and it makes it harder for us to move forward as a nation, regardless of who the president is.
The fact that we live in what feels like, some people call it a cold civil war, that takes a toll on all of us.
We've been excommunicated from a lot of our friends in the last couple of years, and it makes me sad.
This is one organization that's doing a lot to kind of overcome that and get people back to where we were, which is neighbors, friends, communities.
Better Angels was born in response to the crisis of polarization. We are truly bipartisan. From our staff to our funding to our board of directors, we're evenly split, half conservative, half liberal. Everything we do comes from the bottom up. We're an almost entirely volunteer-led operation. We wanted to see, could we get together a group of folks who'd voted for Trump and a group of folks who'd voted for Clinton and get them in a room together to see how can we bring people together to not get them to agree or to come to the middle, but to maybe change how they think about one another.
You know, it's funny, I think a lot of people would look at 2020 and argue that this is the least hospitable time for the work that we're doing, because we know that our politics has a tendency to bring out the worst in us. But it also is an extraordinary opportunity, because this deeper project of civic renewal, of healing the relationships that exist between the American people across the cultural and political divides, the importance of this project is going to become clearer and clearer to people over the course of this election.
A lot of people are going to have to let off steam. I really believe that it's better to do it in a productive way, where they see each other as fellow human beings. It inspires me every Better Angels debate I take part in.
When you're there in person and you have to face the person you're talking to, we remember suddenly the rules of civil discourse and kind of how we should act in society. It's something that really distinguishes this form of conversation and debate.
It's all well and good to talk about civility and being nice to people, but the missing ingredient is courage.
In 2020, we also need courage. The courage that it takes to have a difficult conversation, to put yourself out there.
What we've been saying is that this year, it's not enough to call in our better angels. We have to call in our braver angels.
The name Braver Angels captures the evolving spirit of Better Angels. We have to be willing to summon the courage to see the best in the other side, to see the best in our fellow Americans.
Courage means becoming a leader in your own community who's standing up for America, not just for your political party or your tribe or folks with whom you share an identity, but standing up for something larger that we can all believe in. If we can create a large enough movement that is clamoring for a more courageous style of politics, we can change the incentives.
That's something that can only be achieved through what we call patriotic empathy, this idea that your love for your country is demonstrated in your love for your fellow American. As Braver Angels, we're able to lean into that with courage and boldness.
It will make you feel like we can serve this place and our country can serve humanity in a way that is actually beautiful and actually does us justice.
Politics has always been a passionate subject.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there in the interest of time, since we're running over a little bit.
Why didn't that go last time?
Okay, and so that was our presentation. I don't know if we have time for a few questions, and I've also put my email in the chat. So if anyone has any questions afterwards, please don't hesitate to email me and I will help you out as best I can. And that is our presentation.
Thank you so much, Susan and Bob.
My email is in the chat as well.
And thank you for your patience with our technical difficulties this morning. I hope that we've shared a lot, and I hope you've got a lot out of it.
We didn't
Jasmine has her hand up.
support that we hoped to, so I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. No worries. Don't worry at all. Thank you.
Jasmine had her hand up.
You're on mute, Whitney.
Oh, Jasmine, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think we could take 3 minutes for feedback. Who had their hand up? Go ahead and speak, whoever it was.
Those are clapping hands. Thank you.
Oh, Bonnie, is it Oh, it's Paul.
Yeah.
Jasmine is starting to respond. So Jasmine was first, sir.
Yeah.
It's just clapping, she said.
Those are clapping hands. Those are not a raised hands. It's just clapping hands. Thank you.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, one of my spiritual teachers, Sydney Banks, always said, remember, everyone's doing the best they know how, given their life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear that underneath all of this. Everyone's doing the best they know how.
And I can add something to, oh, Mary Grace, go ahead.
I notice my level of resistance is enormous. And yet the other part of me, I truly believe in my heart that this would be a way that our country could go forward. Maybe Congress could move forward instead of battling instead. I have a person in my family who was a Trump supporter, and he had the courage to come up to me and say, I don't even know if you want to talk to me. I don't. And I was shocked. And I said, no, I would never do that, alienate someone in my family. But I so respect that he did that. Yeah. So
That's beautiful.
Thank you for this.
Yeah, Afton.
Yeah, I just thought maybe we should have another morning where we each shared our own personal struggle. This has stimulated me from 2016, my own journey through my own struggle with this, and I would love to hear everybody else's struggle.
I wouldn't.
But that's wonderful. Thank you. Linda?
I work as an MFT, marriage counselor, and I know when people come in and they have different views, I never get upset. I always feel like I can be with them.
Yes.
But then in my own personal life, boy, I'm seeing that I do have polarization.
And you can almost always find a value that you share in common, and their values have taken them in a different approach than you. So it's about being curious also. Did I see Ruth have a hand up? Yeah. And you're muted. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this presentation. You know, this spills over into every other arena, not just politics. We could see it happen with the COVID vaccination. That when you start getting into that place of polarization, it won't just be about politics. It's going to be about other things as well. And that's why at this moment in time, this is such a healing salve to have these guidelines and opportunities. I recommend you all sign up for a workshop and bring it to other groups that you're involved in as well. I'm going to invite Brave Angels to 2 more groups that I'm involved with. So
that's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's how, and this is a truly grassroots movement. We're across the nation with 100 alliances across the country, local alliances. We have 3 or 4 alliances just in Southern California. So you can get involved there too. Any other comments? And if not, I think we'll end it there and say thank you so much again.
Thank you. It's been really wonderful, really excellent.